Hey YouTube, Big Daddy 0207 here with
KC Classic 7.
Here to talk about WWE2K14 mocapping versus animation. First person I'd like to give a shout out to is my main man Nick Virtue. Got to give him some props for doing videos on the topic, and he really brought it more to my attention with his recent videos. First thing I'd like to talk about in this subject is where the games have come from. When you look at games like Here Comes the Pain, you see how well wrestlers had with their stances, their movesets, No Mercy, same thing. And we have games today where everything doesn't line up properly all the time, and it's harder to get people's moves down. Before we made this video, we went back and watched the Crime Time and MVP do their mocaps for previous SmackDown vs. Raw games. And I noticed how terrible they were beforehand. And it made me wonder, is mocapping better or is animation better for the series? And that's basically what we're going to talk about here. KC, what are your thoughts on the, I guess, mocapping, first of all?
When it comes to mocapping, I feel like it really depends on if the guys are getting into the studio and they're actually doing their moves. If you have the guys in the studio doing the moves, I feel like mocapping can be a great thing. Mocapping is phenomenal. But if you're just mocapping moves for wrestlers who aren't coming in, that's when you have the problem of the moves not looking like the wrestlers' actual moves.
Agree. Think of how great MVP's drive-by kick looked, or when he did the ball and elbow drop when he was the one who actually mocapped it. MVP brought his swagger, his style. I could see it within the moveset. Now, I understand that that's going to also limit people on variations of moves as well.
Yeah.
The pedigree is going to look the same every time if it's mocapped. You're not going to get a bunch of pedigrees. And I'm sure they have to redo it over and over again. And I feel for Brian Williams. I think he has a tough job trying to meet the demands of the fans. I'm just asking for a little more attention to detail with things.
Yes.
Then we also have to look at things from the aspect of animations. I know other games like Madden, NFL 2K, and a lot of those use animations. What are your feelings regarding those? I know previous games like Here Comes the Pain and everything use those. Let me get some little insight on your thoughts on those.
I think the greatest thing that animations can do, it gives you a variety of different moves and a variety of different ways that the moves can look. And I feel like that's the best thing that animations can deliver. But at the same time, you also have to take in consideration that the moves aren't going to be as authentic as if they were mocaps.
Right. Animations just... They seem more realistic in an aspect to me.
Yeah.
Especially with how The Rock's swagger has not been properly captured in a few years.
Yeah.
The People's Elbow... It looks better this year in 2K14 from what I've seen. I just don't like the awkwardness sometimes of how it looks. But the whole SmackDown series, I feel, has went through an issue of transitioning from being an arcade to a sim. And they're more like an arcade sim mix. Kind of like Madden.
Yeah.
In that sense. But the game needs to step it up and be better, and I think 2K is the perfect company. I still see the sprinkles of THQ within 2K14, but I think next gen, hopefully we get to see a little bit more, some additions to the move sets, and they keep giving the people what we want.
Yeah, because you also have to consider that this game was probably almost done, or it was at least in the halfway of being developed when THQ, the company, got cut. So I pretty much expected to see this game be pretty much a THQ game with a 2K sprinkle.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of good things THQ did in the past, but I also see a lot of good things that 2K did with the sprinkles of greatness, and I can just tell what's theirs. The little features of tugging on your tights when you're walking around. Little things like adding better sound to the mat, because the sounds used to be terrible before.
Yeah.
They've greatly improved the game, and the animation and mocap quality is just a tough battle that Because I think mocap looks better if everyone did it, but that's not feasible. You can't. That's not financially the best thing to do, I don't think, and the wrestlers don't have the time, I don't think, for it either.
And there's always a risk of them getting injured as well. I feel if you're mocapping.
Yes, true. And I also think it'd be great to have someone selling. Like if we could have Dolph Ziggler like sell moves specifically, because he takes a move differently than if it was. Trying to think of another guy who doesn't sell too well, like Khali.
Yeah.
Khali bumps terribly, and Dolph Ziggler is perfection on the mat. It's the greatest thing since Mr. Perfect, in my opinion. You also wanted to talk about the stances as well, in respect to this.
Yeah, I know. Back around here comes the pain. Those days, there was a lot of wrestlers who had specific stances. Like I know that The Rock had his specific stance. Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, all of them have specific stances, and I feel like that's an aspect that has been lost. When talking about the third generation of consoles.
Yeah, the stances were very important. Like I said, these guys need to feel authentic.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the one thing that is the problem now. Like I know back in 2010, you said that Stone Cold had a power bomb, and I've never seen Stone Cold do a power bomb in recent years.
Yes, in SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, he did. And it's just I don't know if it's because of limiting the movesets. I would rather see a wrestler use old moves that he once had rather than him do moves he's never done.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one thing that WWE All Stars captured perfectly, the movesets. Like a lot of wrestlers in the game, they might not have done the moves, but they had old moves that they used to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. The overall opinion is, though, I know we're jumping around all over the place, but this just has to more so deal with these games need to be authentic. With mocapping and animation, you could take it or leave it either way it goes. I've seen the arguments, and it seems like none of the fans can decide, at least from some of the forums I've read, on which one's better. But I think in the end, my conclusion is going to be that you need a mixture of both. It's got to be some. If the guy can't come into mocap, his stuff's going to be animated until he does come into mocap, or present it in cycles for different people, maybe. That's the way I feel about it, at least.
Yeah, I think that the biggest problem that the THQ series for third generation consoles they lacked was the ability to have different moves in the game. Like a lot of wrestlers had the same moves, and I feel like that was to the lack of animations in the game.
Right. What's your final conclusion with this? What do you think they should do?
If I would say I like the idea of having them both, but if I had to choose between one or the other, I would say animations would be the better go than mocap.
I can agree with that. We got some more videos probably coming up for you soon. Also looking forward to getting that PlayStation 4. Lots of other stuff we got planned. Check out Casey Classics channel. Once again, check out Nick Virtue's channel. And we are the Animals, and we are out.